Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I'm recording a little tutorial or explanatory piece for my project management course at the Illinois iSchool in the summer of 2018. So this is not really for general consumption because it only deals with an issue that we're having in our class. So, hi guys. During class last night, um, several people raised the issue that on their projects in JIRA Software, they weren't able to manipulate the estimates. And I said, "Oh, geez, you should be able to do that." And I took a look at it on the screen, and I didn't see where you were able to do it. So today, I went out and reproduced the problem, and I'll show you a couple of things I've done. Okay, so first of all, I've taken our projects, and if I go to a view of all projects, which I think that you can get to, um, I added a demo project. Okay, and that's a project that I'm going to use to demonstrate skills, problem solutions, do some experimenting, all that kind of stuff. Another thing that I did is that in anticipation of sharing this space with other classes, I decided to create project categories, which I hadn't in the past. So I called this one Illinois Summer 2018. So all of our projects, including my demo project, are part of Illinois Summer 2018. Okay, and we don't have any projects that are not right now, but eventually I expect to have more than one class working on the same copy of JIRA software at the same time. So I wanted to experiment with that a bit. So I went into my demo project, and let's see if we get that to come up. I have to click on it again. And here I'm at the board for DP, my demo project. And what you should be able to see here is, and maybe I want to bring in this, maybe I want to bring in this a little bit more. Here I've got the documentation I was using to solve this problem. But is right now what I've done is I have created in my project in the backlog four things at the base, a data item in the JIRA family of products is called an issue. So we have four issues. Three of them are user stories. One of them is a task. So the user stories get this green icon with sort of a white ribbon or something on it, and the tasks get a blue icon with a white check mark on it. Okay, and what I found is that when I went to a user story, okay, I saw. Let me give myself a little more room here. I saw what I was expecting. There's a field in the upper right. It's called estimate, okay? And it's where you put the story points, okay? And the system was actually configured for that all along, okay? In fact, if you go to the settings for our overall installation, it's set up to work with story points and not with estimated hours, okay? And I think that for us, that makes a lot of sense. So I didn't change that. I left it working with story points, and I was able to come uh, here, okay? And you come over here and you click, and you can change the story points. Okay, so if I wanted to change this from 3 to 1, I could, and I tab off of it and click on the check mark, and it's going to save my change. Okay, now where else can I see this? Well, it, when I look at my board, there's a little gray oval at the right side of each of the boxes for each issue. And if you have an estimate, you see the number for it there in terms of story points. Well, what if you haven't estimated it yet? Or what if you had one and you took it out? Well, let's go and click. And I'm just going to, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to actually go to this one. So let me go to this one again and go to estimate. And I want to click that I want to edit it. And let's put it up to 3. Okay. I want to show it empty. That's what I wanted to show. So I emptied it and I clicked it. Okay, and if you come over here, you can see there's a gray oval down here, but it's empty. Okay, so all the people who, even before I made the corrections I made today, if you had found the way to put in the estimate, you should have seen these gray ovals with numbers in them corresponding to what you put in as the estimate. And if you happen to not put them in yet, well, then the gray ovals ought to be there, but they ought to be blank. Okay? So you should be able to do that in all of your projects. Now, one interesting thing that I found that is kind of cool, actually, is that you seem to be able to change the estimate whether you've included it in a sprint you started or not. If you put it if you try to change it for a sprint that's already started, it warns you that you're changing the scope of the sprint. So let me show you this. Here, I've got one here. Student registers for section. It's not currently estimated, but let's click on it again. And let's say we want it to be 3 points. So give it 3 points. And it doesn't warn me, okay? No warning. And I say I want to put it there. So long as you're only working in the backlog, you can change the estimates in terms of the story points that you want for your user story, all that you want. Okay, no problem at all. It's not even going to warn you. But I'm going to go to one of your projects that has a story issue. So let's go to Homecoming Communications, see if I can find a story issue. Okay, yeah. And you can see that we have all these, so we are on the board, we're on the backlog board for HC, Homecoming Communications. And look down the right-hand side, you see there are no estimates for any of the issues. Okay. Before I made the change that I made this afternoon, though, we probably would have had just one gray oval, blank gray oval here at the top, and then all the other things wouldn't have a blank gray oval. And the reason is a lot of you guys have set up your work as tasks. So the kind of issue that you're using is a task, and task didn't have estimating turned on. Okay, so now I've turned it on, and what you're going to see is you can now go to any of these, including the tasks, and you can you can add an estimate. But if you've already included this in a sprint you've started, when you click on it, it's going to warn you. And it's going to say, sprint scope will be affected by this action. Well, yeah, it will, because you're changing the size of the work that you committed to do in the sprint. Well, if you're in a sprint right now and you weren't able to enter the estimates, or you had one that you've closed and you didn't have the estimates in there, and now you want to go back and you want to put them in there, well, then I don't think you care that it's changed. You just type in the change and click on the check mark and you're fine. Okay? So I'm not going to make a change in your board. I'm going to go back to mine. Okay, and I'm going to show you that in my demo project, I can also, I've got one task. So DP3 is a task. And when I go there, it currently has the estimate of 5. And let's say I wanted to change this to 3. Well, I could do that. And I would click on this to accept it. And that looks good. And you can see that it's already changed to 3. Now, it's not going to warn me because I haven't started a sprint. All right. So the one thing that I didn't turn this on for, there are two other kinds of issue types. One is a bug. Okay, so if you want to use JIRA was originally plain old JIRA, which I guess is called JIRA Core now. Plain old JIRA was a bug tracking system, and we can use that feature in JIRA Software. JIRA Software is a superset of Core JIRA. So if you want to track bugs, well, you probably don't want to give them story points. And what's your reasoning there? Well, the work has to be done, but you should have accounted for debugging time. When you came up with your estimate of the story points, right? So, and the task as well. If you have a bug, if you create a bug issue and you associate it with either a task or a story, and you what's implicit there is it's part of the work for the task or the story, but it's a piece of information that you want to track separately because you want to make sure that you report the bug and you fix the bug. By default, bugs do not get story points. Also, subtasks. You can take your tasks and you can break them into subtasks. And I did not turn on story points for subtasks. So it's the same kind of deal. You could take your work and break it down into subtasks as a way to track, is this part done or not? But the overall task should be the thing that you estimate. Okay, so right now I've turned on story point estimating for user stories. It was on all the time, and now for tests it's on now. It wasn't there before, so you ought to be able to go back and fill them in. And the setting on how we calculate the burn down, whether it's by hours or whether it's by story points, we haven't turned on anything for hours, so it's by story points. So the burn down chart should be by story points. Okay? So that should be enough to get everybody out of the trouble that we were in class last night. I hope this is helpful. If anybody continues to be stuck on this, please put a ticket in on the request portal, and I'll do what I can to further improve or configure or clarify this. For the most part, this was a configuration issue, and I don't know why. I don't know if the default changed from the last class that we had, or we never fixed it there. I don't have a good explanation for it, but it's configured correctly now, and you should have no problems. So that's it. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.